The star cruiser Epsilon broke through the clouds above Earth's largest colony on Mars. Flames burst from its right wing. Inside, Commander Adam Reynolds gripped the edge of the command console. Sweat dripped down his face as warning lights flashed, red across the bridge. "Status report," he shouted over the blaring alarms. His first officer, Sam Green, worked quickly at his station. 3 more enemy ships approaching from the North Quadrant. Our shields are at 30%. Adam looked at the tactical display. The Galaxian warships had appeared without warning 6 hours ago. They struck Mars colony first, then moved on to the research stations on Europa. Now they were everywhere in Earth's solar system. "Get me Earth Defense Command," Adam ordered. Leah. Communications Officer Lisa Carter shook her head. Her blonde hair was tied back tightly, her face pale with stress. "They're blocking all regular channels, sir. I can't get through." Adam slammed his fist on the console. "Try the emergency frequencies. Someone has to know what's happening." The ship rocked again as another blast hit them. The lights flickered. For a moment, the bridge went dark before backup power kicked in. "Why are they attacking us?" asked Sam. "We've had peace with the Galactic Council for 20 years. Adam had been asking himself the same question since the first shots were fired. Earth had joined the galactic community cautiously after first contact. They followed all the rules. They limited their expansion to their own solar system as required for new species. They shared some technology but kept their military capabilities modest and defensive. Yet here they were, under attack without warning or explanation. "Got something, sir," Lisa called out. "It's weak, but I'm receiving a broadcast from Nevada, headquarters." The main screen flickered to life. The face of General Peter Morgan appeared, his expression grim. "To all Earth forces, we are under attack by forces from the Galaxian Empire, with apparent approval from the Galactic Council. Our ambassador has been detained. All attempts at communication have been rejected. Effective immediately, all Earth Defense Force units are to engage Protocol Omega. This is not a drill. Repeat. Protocol Omega is now active." The message cut off. The bridge fell silent, despite the continued alarms. Protocol Omega. The contingency they had all trained for, but hoped would never be necessary. The last resort when diplomacy failed and Earth faced extinction. "Orders, sir?" Sam asked quietly. Adam took a deep breath. "Get us to the emergency rendezvous point, and prepare to activate all sealed systems." Across the solar system, other human vessels received the same message. Mining ships shed their civilian covers to reveal hidden weapon systems. Research stations activated defensive shields far more powerful than anything Earth had ever shown to their galactic neighbors. On Earth, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a different scene was unfolding. General Peter Morgan stood in the central command chamber of the hidden facility known only as the Bunker. Around him, military personnel and scientists worked at an urgent pace. Wall-sized screens showed the attacks happening across the solar system. "Status of Project Prometheus?" he asked. Dr. Kate Williams looked up from her workstation. Her red hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, dark circles under her eyes from 3 days without sleep. "Final systems check complete. The prototype, ships are ready for deployment, and the pilots, prepped and standing by. Though they've only had simulations with the new tech, they've never flown the real thing." Peter nodded grimly. "None of us expected to use these so soon, but we're out of options." He turned to his communications officer. "Any word from Ambassador Wells?" "One final transmission before they cut him off completely," the young officer replied. He said, "They planned this. The Council knows the truth but won't act. Humanity stands alone." Peter's jaw tightened. So much for galactic civilization. At that moment, President Olivia Martinez was escorted into the command center. The secret service agent stepped back as she approached General Morgan. "Madam President," Peter said with a quick salute. Olivia nodded. She looked at the screen showing the destruction of human outposts. "Give me the summary, General." "The Galaxians struck without warning. They claim we violated Council space by attempting to expand beyond our solar system." "That's a lie," Olivia said sharply. We've followed every restriction they placed on us. Yes, ma'am. But it gave them the excuse they needed. Our sources suggest several council races have been uncomfortable with how quickly humans adapt to new technology. They see us as a potential threat, so they decided to eliminate us before we became one, she said quietly. That appears to be the case. Olivia turned to Dr. Williams. Will Project Prometheus be enough? Kate hesitated. The technology works. We've made breakthroughs they don't expect. But we're still outnumbered. But we have surprise on our side, Peter added. They think they know our capabilities. They have no idea what we've been developing in secret. Olivia walked to the main tactical display. How many civilian casualties so far? Early estimates suggest several thousand on Mars colony. Unknown numbers on the outer stations. The president closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, her decision was made. Activate Protocol Omega, deploy Project Prometheus, and inform all surviving Earth forces. This is no longer about defense. We take the fight to them. As orders went out, Commander Adam Reynolds and the damaged Epsilon reached the rendezvous point near Neptune. Other Earth ships gathered, some military, some converted civilian vessels. All carried the secret technologies and weapons humanity had developed while pretending to be less advanced than they truly were. Adam opened a secure channel to the assembled fleet. This is Commander Reynolds. By now you've all received the Omega Protocol orders. The Galaxians and their council allies believe this will be a quick extermination of a primitive species. He paused, looking at the faces of his fellow officers on the screen. We are about to show them how wrong they are. In the darkness of space, more ships appeared. Sleek, black vessels unlike anything Earth had publicly revealed. Project Prometheus was no longer just a secret. It was humanity's vengeful sword. On the bridge of the Epsilon, Lisa Carter reported, "Incoming transmission from the bunker, sir." Adam nodded, and the screen showed General Morgan's face. "Commander Reynolds, you will lead the first counterstrike. Your target is the Galaxian fleet above Mars. The Prometheus ships will provide support. Show them exactly what humanity is capable of." Adam stood straighter. "With pleasure, sir." As the Earth fleet prepared to jump to Mars, Adam looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. This was not a war they had wanted, but it was one they would finish. "Prepare for jump," he ordered. "Let's bring Earth's retaliation to the galaxy." The first wave of Earth ships burst into the space above Mars, weapons hot and ready. Commander Adam Reynolds watched from the bridge of the Epsilon as the Galaxian forces scattered in surprise. They clearly hadn't expected any resistance, let alone a coordinated counterattack. "Target their command vessel," Adam ordered. "Fire when ready." The weapons officer, Jack Miller, pressed the activation sequence. A beam of bright blue energy shot from the Epsilon, cutting through the shields of the alien flagship like they weren't even there. "Direct hit," Jack reported, his eyes wide with amazement. "Their shields failed completely." Sam Green looked up from his console. "Sir, the new phase shift technology is working perfectly. Their defensive systems can't detect our weapons until impact." Adam nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Send the signal to all ships. Execute attack pattern Delta." The Earth fleet moved as one, breaking into smaller groups that targeted the Galaxian vessels with precision. The sleek black Prometheus ships led the charge, their advanced engines leaving trails of blue light as they danced between enemy fire. On the Galaxian command ship, Admiral Kravzor watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart by weapons that shouldn't exist. His second-in-command approached, fear evident in his 4 eyes. "The humans," the officer said. "They have technology far beyond what our intelligence reported." Kravzor slammed his fist on his chair. "Impossible! Their civilization is barely 200 years into space travel. They should be defenseless." "Clearly," the officer replied, "our information was wrong." Back on Earth, in the underground facility, known as the bunker, General Peter Morgan and Dr. Kate Williams monitored the battle through real-time feeds. "Mars sector is almost clear," reported a young lieutenant. "Commander Reynolds is requesting permission to proceed to Europa." Peter looked at the tactical display. watching as the dots representing Galaxian ships blinked out one by one. Permission granted. And tell him to capture one of their ships if possible. We need prisoners for intelligence. Kate checked her tablet, analyzing the performance data from the Prometheus ships. The quantum drives are operating at 95% efficiency. That's better than our simulations predicted. What about the phase shift weapons? Peter asked. Perfect, Kate replied. The Galaxians can't block them because they operate on principles their science hasn't discovered yet. Peter turned to another screen showing a global map of Earth. Red dots indicated places where smaller Galaxian forces had managed to land. Status of ground defense? He asked the officer monitoring those operations. The shield system is coordinating. All responses, the officer replied. Civilian casualties are minimal. We're pushing them back in all sectors. SHIELD, Strategic Human Intelligence and Enhanced Logic Defense, was Earth's secret AI system. Unlike the rigid battle computers used by council races, SHIELD could adapt and learn in real time. It had studied alien combat patterns for years, preparing for this very day. In Nevada, Lisa Carter had been reassigned after the Epsilon was damaged. Now she worked in a communications center, coordinating with civilian hacker groups. These groups, led by former security specialist Steve Johnson, had been secretly recruited by the Earth Defense Force years ago. We've accessed their navigation network, Steve reported, his fingers flying across his keyboard. Implementing the virus now. Lisa watched as status reports came in from across the solar system. All teams stand by to execute at my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. Across the solar system, Galaxian ships suddenly lost power. Life support systems failed. Navigation computers sent vessels on random paths. What had been an orderly retreat became chaos. In orbit around Europa, Adam Reynolds watched from the bridge of the Epsilon, now repaired enough for combat. The enemy fleet was in disarray. Sir, Sam called out. We're receiving surrender signals from multiple Galaxian vessels. Adam nodded. Accept their surrender, prepare boarding parties. Remember, we need prisoners and their technology intact. While the battle raged in space, something equally important was happening on Earth. Engineers Greg Sanders and Beth Harper worked deep within a facility built inside Mount Rainier. Their job was to activate the quantum entanglement communication network that Earth had built in secret. Final calibrations complete, Beth said, adjusting controls on a massive machine that hummed with power. Greg checked a series of readings. Power levels stable. Network nodes are responding across the system. Beth looked at him nervously. Do you really think this will work across such distances? We've never tested it beyond Jupiter. It has to work, Greg replied simply. Without it, we can't coordinate our forces once we push beyond our solar system. He pressed a final sequence of buttons. The machine pulsed with light, and screens around them filled with data. It's working, Beth exclaimed. We have connections with all Earth ships, even the ones engaged with enemy forces near Pluto. Greg immediately opened a channel to the bunker. General Morgan, the QNet is online. You now have instant communication with all forces regardless of distance. In the bunker, Peter Morgan received the news with relief. This was the breakthrough they needed. Communication that the Galaxians couldn't jam or intercept. With this, human forces could coordinate perfectly no matter how far apart they were. Send the order, he told his communications officer. All forces prepare for Phase 2. We're taking the fight to Galaxian territory. President Olivia Martinez, who had remained in the bunker during the crisis, stepped forward. Are you certain we're ready for that? Our primary goal was to defend our system. Peter turned to her. Madam President, if we stop now, they'll regroup and return with a larger force. Our only chance is to strike while they're confused. Show them and the Council that attacking Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made. Olivia considered this, then nodded slowly. Very well. But remember our principles. We target military installations only. I want minimal civilian casualties. Understood, Peter replied. We're not like them. We don't wage war on innocents. Across the solar system, human forces regrouped. The surprise counterattack had been successful beyond all expectations. Earth's hidden technologies, phase shift weapons, quantum drives, adaptive AI systems, and now the QNet communications had given them an edge the Galaxians never saw coming. On the bridge of the Epsilon, Adam Reynolds received new orders. His ship would lead a strike team to the nearest Galaxian military base, just beyond Pluto in a system they had recently colonized. "This is where it truly begins," he told his crew. "They brought war to our homes. Now we bring justice to theirs." As Earth ships prepared to leave their solar system for the first time in battle formation, panic spread through the Galactic Council. Emergency sessions were called as reports came in about the devastating counterattack. Species that had supported the Galaxian preventive strike now questioned that decision as humanity revealed itself to be far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The tide had turned. The hunter had become the hunted. And the galaxy was about to learn why attacking Earth had been a terrible mistake. The USS Defiance cut through space at speeds that defied conventional physics. Commander Alicia Morgan stood on the bridge, her dark hair pulled back tightly, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. 5 other Earth ships followed in perfect formation. Their target, the Galaxian military base on Outpost 7. "Time to arrival?" Alicia asked. Her navigation officer, Kyle Peters, checked his readings. 3 minutes until we exit Quantum Drive, Commander." Alicia nodded. She turned to address her crew. "Remember, we're not just fighting for our lives today. We're fighting for a principle. Attack one human, and you answer to all of us." The crew nodded in agreement. Many had lost friends or family in the initial attacks on Mars and Europa, but this wasn't about revenge, it was about justice. "Quantum Drive disengaging in 3, 2, 1, Kyle announced. The stars reappeared around them as the ships dropped back into normal space. Directly, ahead loomed Outpost 7, a massive space station orbiting a barren moon. It served as the Galaxian Empire's forward military base, the launching point for their attack on Earth. "They've spotted us," reported Susan Chen, the sensor officer. "Their defense systems are activating." Alicia leaned forward. "Deploy SHIELD. Countermeasures." Across all 6 human ships, the SHIELD AI system went to work. It analyzed the Galaxian defense grid in real time, finding patterns and weaknesses no human could spot. Within seconds, it had formulated an attack plan and sent it to all vessels. "SHIELD recommends attack pattern Epsilon 3, Susan said. "Execute," Alicia ordered. The Earth ships broke formation, moving in ways that confused the automated defense systems of Outpost 7. The station's weapons fired but hit nothing as the human vessels seemed to anticipate every shot. On the Galactic Council station orbiting Proxima Centauri, representatives from 17 species watched in growing horror as tactical feeds showed the battle. What should have been a quick destruction of the human fleet was turning into a Galaxian disaster. "They move like they know what we'll do before we do it," muttered the Parthian representative, his tentacles curling in anxiety. The Galaxian counselor, Drexma, pounded his fist on the table. "Impossible. Their ships should not be able to perform such maneuvers. Their weapons should not penetrate our shields." From his place in the corner, still under guard, Earth's ambassador Richard Wells watched in silence. He had warned them all, years ago, that humanity would not be an easy target. No one had listened. Back at Outpost 7, the battle was turning into a rout. 3 of the station's defense platforms had already been destroyed. Alicia Morgan directed her weapons officer to target the station's shield generators. "Fire main phase cannons," she ordered. Beams of energy shot forth from the Defiance, cutting through the station's outer defenses like they weren't even there. The shield generators exploded in a shower of debris and fire. "The station is defenseless," Susan reported. "They're sending a surrender signal." Alicia nodded. "Accept their surrender. Prepare boarding teams. I want all data from their central computers secured." While the Defiance secured Outpost 7, similar scenes played out across Galaxian space. Earth forces, once thought to be limited to a single solar system, now struck at key military targets with devastating precision. In the bunker on Earth, General Peter Morgan and Dr. Kate Williams monitored the progress of all operations. The wall of screens showed battles unfolding across multiple star systems. Group 3 has secured the supply depot at Vega, an officer reported. Group 5 has disabled the shipyards in the Rigel system. Peter nodded with satisfaction. And civilian casualties? Minimal, sir. Our forces are following the President's orders exactly, military targets only. President Olivia Martinez entered the command center, accompanied by her top advisors. She studied the tactical displays. I see we're making progress, she said. What's the status of the communication initiative? Kate stepped forward. We've captured enough Galaxian communication hubs to broadcast on all council frequencies. We can deliver your message whenever you're ready. Olivia nodded. Prepare the broadcast. It's time the council hears directly from Earth. On the Galactic Council station, chaos reigned. Emergency sessions stretched for hours as reports continued to arrive of Earth's devastating counterattack. The Galaxian representatives demanded immediate reinforcements, while others called for negotiations. You assured us they were primitive, shouted Councillor Rek of the Parthian Collective. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly in anger. Yet their counterattack has already destroyed our combined fleet. Before Drexma could respond, the chamber's main screen activated on its own. The face of President Olivia Martinez appeared calm and resolved. Members of the Galactic Council, she began. I am Olivia Martinez, President of Earth. For 20 years we have respected your laws and boundaries. We limited our expansion, as required. We shared knowledge and culture. In return, you approved an unprovoked attack on our colonies, killing thousands of innocent civilians. The council chamber fell silent as she continued. Let me be clear about what happens next. Our forces have disabled the Galaxian military capacity. We could destroy their homeworld. But unlike them, we do not target civilians. Instead, we offer terms. Ambassador Richard Wells was brought forward, now standing before the council as a free man, rather than a prisoner. Ambassador Wells will present our conditions for peace, Olivia concluded. I suggest you listen carefully. Richard stepped forward. Though he had been under house arrest for days, he stood tall and confident. Earth demands the following, he stated clearly. First, an immediate ceasefire and withdrawal of all hostile forces from Earth space. Second, reparations for the damage caused to our colonies. Third, war crimes trials for those who ordered attacks on civilian targets. And finally, a complete restructuring of this council to ensure such acts cannot happen again. The council members looked at each other in disbelief. Drexma rose from his seat, his scaled face flushed with anger. You dare dictate terms to us? He hissed. You are one world against many. Richard smiled slightly. Are we? Look at your tactical displays, Counselor. Count how many of your military bases still stand. Measure how much of your fleet remains operational. Then tell me again about our disadvantage. Back in Earth orbit, Steve Johnson and his team of civilian hackers worked alongside military specialists. They had penetrated deep into the Council's secure networks, revealing secrets that had been hidden for centuries. Send the data package to Ambassador Wells, Steve told his team. He needs to see what we found. On the Council station, Richard received the transmission directly to his personal device. He reviewed it quickly, then looked up at the assembled council members with new understanding. We now have proof, he announced, that the Galaxian Empire has violated council law by attacking civilian populations on 37 worlds, not just Earth. They have been executing a slow campaign of conquest while you looked the other way. He placed a small device on the center table. It projected images of atrocities on dozens of worlds, evidence that had been carefully hidden from the Council's records. As the images played, many Council members turned away in horror or shame. Some had suspected, none had acted. Humanity could continue this war, Richard said quietly. Our fleets stand ready. But we believe in something you seem to have forgotten. Justice, not vengeance. Across Galaxian space, Earth forces had halted their advance. They now held defensive positions, waiting for the outcome of the Council meeting. Commander Alicia Morgan received updates via the QNet from Earth Command. Stand by, she told her crew. The real battle is happening in the Council chamber now. The future of not just Earth, but the entire galactic community hung in the balance. And for the first time since joining the galactic stage, humanity held the power to shape that future. The council chamber remained silent for several long minutes after Ambassador Richard Wells finished presenting the evidence. The images of Galaxian attacks on other worlds hung in the air like ghosts. Some council members looked away in shame. Others stared at the Galaxian representatives with newfound horror. Councillor Vrek of the Parthian Collective was the first to speak. "Is this true?" he demanded, his voice shaking with anger. "Have you been conducting these exterminations while reporting peace missions to the council?" Drexma, the Galaxian councillor, stood up straight. His scaled face showed no remorse. "These worlds were threats to galactic stability. We did what was necessary." "Without council approval?" asked the representative from the Tellurian Republic. "You acted alone in the name of all of us?" "We acted to protect our interests," Drexma replied coldly. "Just as we did with Earth." Richard Wells stepped forward again. "The difference," he said quietly, "is that Earth fought back. Those other worlds couldn't." On Earth, President Olivia Martinez watched the council proceedings through a secure quantum link. General Peter Morgan stood beside her, his face grim. "They're beginning to fracture," Peter observed. "The coalition against us is falling apart." Olivia nodded. "Inform all fleet commanders. Maintain positions but stay alert. This isn't over. Yet." In orbit around the Galaxian military outpost, Commander Alicia Morgan received the update from Earth. She called her officers together on the bridge of the Defiance. "The council is in session," she told them. "Ambassador Wells has presented our evidence of Galaxian war crimes. We're to hold position and wait for further orders." Her weapons officer, Ryan Cooper, looked worried. "What if the council sides with the Galaxians?" Alicia's expression was firm. "Then we continue as planned. Earth will not back down from defending itself with or without council approval." A sudden alert sounded from the communication station. The officer there looked up with surprise. "Commander, we're detecting ships approaching at high speed." "Galaxian reinforcements?" Alicia asked. The officer shook his head. "No, ma'am. These signatures match Parthian vessels." Alicia frowned. The Parthians were one of the oldest species in the council, known for their caution and diplomacy. Why would they send ships here? "Open a channel," she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of a Parthian commander. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of respect in their culture. "Commander Morgan of Earth," the Parthian said. "I am Commander Zithvar of the Parthian Defense Fleet. We come by direct order of our council representative." Alicia stood straighter. "What are your intentions, Commander?" "To offer assistance," Zithvar replied. "The evidence your ambassador presented has changed things. The Parthian Collective withdraws its support of Galaxian actions and offers alliance with Earth forces." Back in the council chamber, more representatives were turning against the Galaxians. The Tellurian Republic, the Vegan Confederacy, and 3 other major powers had all withdrawn their support for the original attack on Earth. Drexma looked around at his former allies, his expression darkening. "You fools," he hissed. "Humans are dangerous. Their adaptation rate exceeds all safe parameters. They master technologies in decades that took us centuries. If we don't stop them now, they will dominate us all within a generation." Richard Wells shook his head. "That was never our intention. We sought peaceful cooperation, cultural exchange, mutual growth. It was you who chose conflict." The head of the council, an ancient being from a species called the Elders, raised a hand for silence. "This council must vote on how to proceed. The evidence presented by Earth cannot be ignored, nor can the fact that humans have demonstrated military capabilities far beyond what was disclosed to us." "That was for our protection," Richard replied calmly. "And it seems our caution was justified." The elder nodded slowly. "Indeed, we will vote now on Earth's demands." As the council prepared to vote, events elsewhere were moving quickly. On the Galaxian homeworld, panic was spreading. Reports of human victories and the defection of their allies had caused chaos in the capital. Supreme Leader Kralvox, ruler of the Galaxian Empire, called his military commanders together. His massive form towered over them, his scales gleaming under the lights of the war room. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "How could humans defeat our forces so quickly?" Fleet Admiral Gornzar bowed his head. "Their technology exceeds our intelligence estimates, Supreme Leader. They had weapons and defenses we've never seen before, and their tactics..." He paused. "They're unlike anything in our battle computers. Unpredictable. Adaptive." Kralvox slammed his fist on the table. "I want our remaining forces to target their homeworld directly. A decisive strike to end this." The Admiral looked up in shock. "But Supreme Leader, if we attack Earth itself, after the Council has begun, peace talks." "I don't care about the Council," Kralvox shouted. "I will not allow our empire to be humiliated by primitives." Unknown to the Galaxian leaders, their entire conversation was being monitored. Earth's hacker teams, led by Steve Johnson, had penetrated their supposedly secure networks completely. "Send this to command immediately," Steve told his team as they recorded the Galaxian leaders' orders. "They're planning a direct strike on Earth." In the bunker, General Peter Morgan received the intelligence and immediately contacted all Earth forces. "All units, priority alert," he broadcast. "We have confirmation that Galaxian forces are mobilizing for a direct attack on Earth. Activate Defense Protocol Sigma." Across Earth's solar system, hidden defensive platforms powered up. The SHIELD AI system took control of all defense grids, preparing for the coming attack. On the USS Defiance, Alicia Morgan received new orders. Her ship, along with the Parthian vessels that had joined them, was to intercept the Galaxian attack force before it could reach Earth. "Prepare for quantum jump," she ordered her crew. "Target coordinates are being transmitted now." In the council chamber, the emergency alarms suddenly blared. A communications officer rushed in and whispered to the Elder. The ancient being's expression grew grave. "We have just received intelligence that the Galaxian military is preparing a direct assault on Earth against the express wishes of this council," the Elder announced. Drexma stood. "This is absurd. We would never..." The Elder raised a hand, silencing him. "The intelligence includes recorded conversations from your Supreme Leader himself." Richard Wells stepped forward. "Members of the Council, Earth forces will defend themselves against this attack. But I urge you to act now. Declare the Galaxian Empire in violation of Council law and authorize joint action to prevent further bloodshed." The representatives looked at each other, then at the Galaxian delegation. The moment of decision had come. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance as the Council prepared to cast their votes. Across space, ships moved into position. Earth vessels, now joined by Parthian and other alien craft, prepared to face the final desperate attack of a once powerful empire. And at the center of it all was humanity, the species that had shocked the Galactic Council beyond belief. The Galaxian attack fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 50 warships, the last major force of the once mighty empire, moved in attack formation. At their center was the massive dreadnought Immortal Glory, the personal flagship of Supreme Leader Kralvox himself. On the bridge of the dreadnought, Kralvox stood tall, his scaled body covered in ceremonial armor. "The humans will learn the price of defiance," he declared to his officers. "Begin the attack run." Before the Galaxian fleet could advance, space seemed to ripple before them. Dozens of ships appeared as if from nowhere, Earth vessels in the center, flanked by Parthian cruisers and ships from 3 other Council races. Admiral Frank Ellis stood on the bridge of the USS Constitution, the largest ship in Earth's fleet. He was an older man with gray hair and a weathered face that had seen many battles during his long career. "Open a channel to the Galaxian flagship," he ordered. When the communication was established, Ellis faced Kralvox directly. "This is Admiral Frank Ellis of Earth. Your attack violates direct orders from the Galactic Council. Stand down your forces immediately." Kralvox laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the transmission. The Council has no authority over the Galaxian Empire, and you, human, have no authority to command me. Ellis remained calm. This is your final warning. You are outnumbered and outmatched. Surrender now. In response, Kralvox cut the transmission. The Galaxian ships began to move forward, weapons charging. They've made their choice, Ellis said quietly. He turned to his communications officer. Signal all ships, execute Battle Plan Omega. The combined fleet moved with perfect coordination, directed by Earth's SHIELD AI system. The alien allies had been shocked when humans offered to share this technology, but they quickly recognized its value. Now every ship moved as part of a single organism, anticipating the Galaxian tactics before they happened. On the Galactic Council station, representatives watched the battle unfold through tactical displays. The Council had voted overwhelmingly to condemn the Galaxian actions and support Earth's defense. Now they watched as their decision was put to the test. The humans fight with restraint, observed the Tellurian representative. They target weapons and engines, not life support systems. Ambassador Richard Wells stood beside the council chair. Earth believes in justice, not revenge. We want to stop the attack, not destroy. Every Galaxian we can. The elder who led the council nodded slowly. A rare quality in a species with such power. Back in the battle, the Galaxian fleet was struggling. Despite their determination, they found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Earth's phase-shift weapons cut through their shields. The Parthian vessels disabled their engines with precision strikes. Ships from the Tellurian Republic jammed their communications. On the Immortal Glory, Kralvox watched in growing horror as his grand attack fell apart. This cannot be happening, he hissed. Target the human flagship, all weapons. The Dreadnought turned its massive weapons toward the Constitution. Energy beams lashed out, striking the Earth vessel directly. Admiral Ellis braced himself as the ship shook. Damage report. His first officer checked the systems quickly. Shields holding at 80%, sir, minimal damage to outer hull. Our new defenses are working. Ellis nodded. Target their main weapons array. Disable, don't destroy. The Constitution returned fire. Precise beams struck the Immortal Glory's weapon ports, melting them shut without breaching the hull beneath. Across the battlefield, Galaxian ships were surrendering one by one as they lost engines, weapons, and shields. Only the Dreadnought continued to fight, even as its capabilities were systematically disabled. In the bunker on Earth, President Olivia Martinez watched the battle through secure feeds. Beside her, Dr. Kate Williams monitored the performance of Earth's technologies. It's almost over, Kate said quietly. The last Galaxian ships are surrendering. Olivia nodded. And casualties? Minimal on our side. The Allied ships report light damage only. Galaxian life support systems remain intact on all vessels. Good, Olivia said. I want prisoners, not martyrs. On the Immortal Glory, most systems had failed. The bridge was dark except for emergency lighting. Kralvox stood in the center, refusing to accept defeat. Supreme Leader, his first officer said cautiously. We have no weapons, no shields, and engines are failing. We must surrender. Kralvox turned on him with fury. Never. I would rather die than surrender to primitive humans. At that moment, the ship shuddered as tractor beams from multiple Earth vessels locked onto it. A communication from Admiral Ellis appeared on the last functioning screen. Supreme Leader Kralvox, Ellis said firmly. Your fleet is defeated. Your council allies have abandoned you. You will be taken to Earth to stand trial for crimes against multiple species, including your attack on our colonies. 2 days later, a single Earth vessel appeared at the council station. The USS Constitution, commanded by Admiral Frank Ellis, requested permission to dock. The council chamber fell silent as Admiral Ellis, accompanied by a small delegation including Dr. Kate Williams and former hacker Steve Johnson, entered and stood before the assembled representatives. The Galaxian attack force has been neutralized, Ellis reported. Supreme Leader Kralvox and his top commanders are in custody, awaiting trial for war crimes. The elder who led the council bowed slightly. The council acknowledges Earth's service in ending this threat. What would your world ask in return? Ellis looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various alien representatives. Earth doesn't seek rewards, but we do demand change. This council failed in its primary mission, to prevent exactly this kind of aggression. It cannot be allowed to happen again. He laid out Earth's proposals, a complete restructuring of the council to include representatives from all sentient species, not just the most powerful. A mutual defense pact that required immediate response to unprovoked aggression, and trials for those who had ordered attacks on civilian populations. You feared our potential so much you allowed the Galaxians to attack us, Dr. Williams said quietly. What you should have feared was what we'd become if they had succeeded. Steve Johnson stepped forward with data drives containing the evidence they had gathered. This proves the Galaxian Empire committed genocide on 37 worlds. We propose a joint mission to find and assist any survivors. The Council voted on Earth's proposals. The outcome was unanimous acceptance. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council would truly represent all spacefaring species, not just the oldest and most powerful. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Ambassador Richard Wells shared a private observation with Admiral Ellis. The greatest shock wasn't our technology or tactics. It was discovering that humans could win decisively and still show mercy. Ellis nodded thoughtfully. That's always been humanity's true strength. We can fight when necessary, but we prefer to build rather than destroy. In the decades that followed, the Reformed Council would come to recognize that this paradoxical combination of strength and restraint was humanity's true contribution to galactic civilization. The species that had shocked the Council with its Retaliation would go on to help build a more just and peaceful galaxy for all.